Good afternoon, good evening. It's always a pleasure to hang out with the people that I get a chance to interview. The real estate experience with me, TRAVON Smith, the people's agent. I always appreciate it. I was in a hurry this morning, running around, and I know I didn't forget about the interview because we talked last night and remind each other about the time. But you know how when you shoot out the house, you just kind of forget at that moment. But without no further hesitation, the one and only Miss Corrinne from Neighborhood Inspections. How you doing?
Good, good. Thank you for having me, Trevon. Always a pleasure.
No, it's definitely a pleasure. The pleasure is mine. See you at the beautiful park. We talked you on your way to go take care of some business, which is always a good thing. So we won't keep you too long. Just tell us a little bit about yourself. How'd you get involved in the inspection game? You know, when it's a male dominated, arena as most things, but I see the women are coming through, believing their marks nowadays.
Yes, yes. Actually, I started off with construction inspection. I had a friend who was into welding inspection, and I kind of went down that field. The college I attended didn't really have a welding class, so the next offer was in a construction inspection, and I kind of went into that. Once I graduated, I went off in the field like anyone else would do and search for a career and ended up landing with this guy who was just a great mentor. And I kind of followed him for a year and he pushed me into opening up my own business.
That's great because I think, like you speak for some women that may want to, touch in those bases, but, we're all scared for whatever reasons as far as stepping out there and doing different things. I think that's amazing what you're doing because you went from construction inspections to welding inspections. So you've always kind of wanted to be involved in the inspection category, if I may say so.
I was at first I was into business,
Okay.
but it was just so broad. I've never been the type of person to kind of home in on, one single skill. I was kind of all over the place, and this kind of grouped it together for me in one certain subject that I ended up excelling in, and I ended up loving it. So, you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life, and I kind of strayed away from the business aspect, which is
Mhm.
very broad for most people, and kind of homed in on my passion, and that's how I got into this.
Okay. Well, the business, you're a good businesswoman because you got to be a good businesswoman in order, what I'm saying, to take care of business during your inspections. So we would have never met if you wasn't good at business. I want to get into the inspections now because I had an inspection on my first house and I felt like my inspection people just didn't do me right. I'm not gonna say they did me wrong. They just didn't do me right. Like I used to cut the microwave on and the fan on and the whole house shut down. And I was like, that's why I got an inspection. Talk to me, what entails in a good inspection, a home inspection?
You know, Often a home inspection is, for me, a good home inspection is when you have your client feeling confident.
Mhm.
When you give them a peace of mind, because that's really what neighborhood inspection sells, is a peace of mind. It's not so much about the report,
Mhm.
or how big the report is or how many things are in the report. Of course, you want to be detailed, but often it's a buyer. You can have sellers maintenance inspections. But often it's a first time buyer, and it is one of the biggest purchases you will make. So you just want them to feel confident. You kind of want the report and their emotions to kind of be on the same level. They've already walked through it. Now they have an expert going in, checking the big items, and you just want them to feel comfortable. So for me, a good report is not just finding everything or knowing the details. It's definitely having the report match your client's emotions and having them be able to walk away with that peace of mind, and confident in the buying or selling process.
Okay, because it's funny that you said that about the report because he did hand me about I don't know like 125 pages of reports, and I kind of just skimmed through. It was like, okay, it looks like it's good because it's all paper here, but then as you live in the house, you're like, oh my God, he missed this, he missed this. So that was my first home buying experience, and it helped me out for my second and third homes. So now I have an eye what I'm looking for. Moving along as far as what are some things that like when you walk in, some things you like, oh, I'm not saying you don't look at everything, but some things that hit you right away. Like, okay, I'm going here, 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 here. What are some things that that come across your brain, or is it different with every home inspection?
I would have to say it's a little bit different as far as the area of home inspection,
Hmm.
the era of house that you're inspecting. 60s have a certain style, 20s have a certain style. But I would say like in the San Diego, Orange County area, I often look for Rampart Chimneys, which is a chimney company, a precast chimney that is often is no longer made anymore. So
Mm.
those could probably cost you a lot of money. I definitely red flags of white paint in the attics, kind of a sign that there might be a fire going on, or any old piping, galvanized pipes and stuff like that. Anything that might cost an upward of, you know, a lot of money, $20,000, $30,000 within the first couple of years of them purchasing their home. So I do kind of focus on that. It is very detailed, but in the end, like, you're a homeowner, you don't really care about a lot of scratches on the walls,
Mhm.
you know, or broken doors or something. You're really just trying to protect, you know, your money in the end.
Yeah,
I would.
yeah, you're absolutely right. So I guess each area or each like built of home or whatnot in the region kind of identifies things you're specific with as far as things that have may have been wrong in the past in those areas or whatnot. Um, what are some
Yeah.
what are some common things that are like missed that you know buyers tend to miss or they overlook or sellers kind of overlook fixing or taking care of?
Often I think it's usually maybe the mechanical systems. Obviously, if it's not broke, you don't need to fix it. A lot of AC units, condensers are, you know, past their useful life, but they're still working. One that I do see often that I think inspectors kind of don't elaborate on is, not only is it working, some of the older units use a different type of freon, as you guys know it.
Mhm.
And some of the freons aren't made anymore, and they're not government regulated. The government doesn't want them in the United States anymore. So that's often something that is overlooked, is that if you do buy a new AC unit, is your old one, it has to be upgraded, because the Freon, they don't use that anymore. So sometimes you can't just have a simple fix as far as adding more Freon to your AC when they no longer make it. So that might cause you to spend a little bit more extra money that you overlooked, just certain, you know, brands that they are no longer valid here in the US.
Okay. Yeah, now with the housing and the structures, you know, with all the new builds and older homes, is there things that are like, is there things you have to constantly like re-educate yourself on as far as what you're looking for? Because it might be different in a like you said, in a new build than a 1960s, 70s, 80s. Is there things you always have to like kind of just go back and kind of research just to make sure there's certain procedures or protocols are done correctly?
Yes, I would have to say there's a lot of research done. There's always new information coming out. The IRC codes, the building codes, they renew every 3 years. So there's always something to look out for. Um, for example, this September, coming out September 1st in the IRC, one of the changes will be the receptacles on your island in your kitchen.
Mm.
So before, it was required for you to have a receptacle, and now it is no longer required for you to have a receptacle. So you kind of want to take note of certain things that you have to look up for. You don't want to give somebody a report that has false information because you just failed to keep yourself updated. So there's always stuff we're looking out for, especially with new technology. Sometimes there's devices there that you've never seen before, and you have to just snap a quick picture and then kind of look it up and and see if you want to add that to your daily routine, you know? So there are certain things, specific number of things that inspectors do have to look for, but usually, you know, reasonable and prudent inspectors will all kind of look out for the same thing. You know, if 10 people are checking the water pressure, then everyone should check the water pressure, you
Okay.
know?
That's good information. Because I was at this
Mhm.
house in I think it was close to Calabasas, and they were saying we were doing a walk around with another agent, and the pots and the fire burner, the burner wouldn't burn you or nothing, but the pot, it was on Bluetooth. And I was like, I've never seen this. It's like, so with something like that, when you see it, it's kind of like you said, you take pictures of it, go back home and kind of research the information, model numbers and things like that. I'm assuming.
Yes, yes, there is. I just seen something the other day. I thought I called it a mystery switch at first. It was a switch under a bathroom cabinet. I pushed it. I didn't see anything work. I didn't see anything do anything. I called it a mystery switch. There was some wires behind it. But it wasn't until I got to the kitchen that I seen there was a recirculation pump on the bottom of the sink. So this button was connected to the recirculation pump, which actually makes your water hotter faster.
Mhm.
especially if you have a tankless water heater, which they did in the attic. But certain things you just don't know right off the bat. Usually the recirculation pump is where the water heater is at, which this happens to be in the attic. But this time they had placed the recirculation pump under a sink, under a kitchen sink, which is common, but you don't see it too often. So when you do look at it, you do know what it is. But I had to look that up a little while ago just to make sure it is what it was. You know, it's kind of new. That's these
Yeah.
new technology houses are something else.
And, you know, if you're just tuning in, we're talking to Miss Corrinne, your neighborhood inspections. It's definitely a pleasure for her to join. As you can see, she's very knowledgeable. And you know, the best thing I like about this interview is I like the genuineness. Hey, it's like, hey, if I don't know it, I'll take a picture of it, go figure it out, especially with all the new technology. And I think that's something that people need, and people where they do inspections, real estate agents, appraisers, more genuine people like yourself. So you're doing a hell of a job in what you're doing, and I've heard a lot of great things about you. I want to touch into your personal world a little bit. One of the weirdest home inspections, or something that you kind of just remember, like, oh my God, this was just all hell on earth, or whatnot.
You know, I recently did a house from the 1800s. Um,
Mm,
so that was pretty interesting. You don't often see houses from the 1800s. You don't often see those type of structures, that type of wood anymore. So that's really interesting. Obviously, it's really old. If it's not, doesn't have upkeep, you can see some pretty interesting things. Another real interesting thing that I do remember is, which actually people should be aware of, especially if you're buying from out of state or if you don't live here in California,
mm,
you buy as is houses, which I've seen. They think everything's okay, and then you get under the house and something major is missing, like someone stole all the copper.
mm.
So, you know, there's some pretty shockers like that. You go there, you turn on the faucet, the realtor doesn't really know, like maybe they turned off the water, but
Yeah, yeah.
really there's no water pipe. So you see some pretty crazy stuff out there, you know?
And that's why they need a home inspection lady like yourself. Go ahead and give them the information where they can find you at, your company at, and how you can provide service to these people of Southern California.
Of course, of course. Thank you. Of course, Corinne Rickenbacker. You can actually contact me through via text or phone, 949-844-9428. I'm also on Instagram with Neighborhood Inspections, and you can reach me by email at Corinne at nh-inspections.com. That is Corrinne at nh-inspections.com.
And we'll have all our information provided in the information with the description. Once again, thank you. I know you was on your way to a situation, but at least you stopped and picked a beautiful park. So get you some, you know, peace of mind before you start your day at work. But once again, I appreciate you, Corrinne, and thank you for joining us. And hopefully we get you back and check in with you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Trayvon. It's always a pleasure. I can't wait to be back. Of course, information is always free. So whenever you need me, feel free to call me.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate it. Have a good day.
It was a pleasure. See you guys later.
Thank you.